Hello. Have you ever wondered why some people just seem on edge or easily startled, or they're just sensitive to the environment? You don't understand why? Well, my name is Cowper-Smith, and I'm happy to bring you some scientific research that I think will be very helpful to you and those that you love. I'm going to share my screen, and I'm going to go fairly fast. If you would want the handout, I just reach out from the information below. So all of us have what's called a sensory processor system. And that means all the stimuli coming in from our hearing and our voice and everything goes into our nervous system, and our brain calculates it. But there are 15 to 20% of the population that have a genetic trait involving an increased sensitivity of this central nervous system. That's 1 in every 5 people. And this finding is confirmed now in a growing body of research, biology, genetics, and neurology. In fact, researchers have found this trait in over 100 species. This trait is referred to as a sensory processor sensitivity, or a highly sensitive person. It's characterized by greater intensity and frequency of the stimuli experienced in the central nervous system. And it manifests uniquely with each person, depending on the degree of each aspect and the adaptation. For example, Joe was a young man, very successful in his business. He had such an intuition and knew where to place people in the company, and he really thrived. Growing up, he had a hard time with large stadiums and sports events. And when he found that he really enjoyed tennis and just smaller sports with less stimuli, he really did well. Now, Sandy, on the other hand, was not as successful in her adaptation. She took her sensitivity personally, and she felt guilty and like she wasn't normal. And so her adaptation left her to feeling very vulnerable. So mentally, people with this trait might have good solutions, but take a lot longer to process. You see, they might be slow to make decisions. They might be conscientious, but hesitant in new situations. Physically, they might really appreciate the beauty of scenery and love to travel, but they might startle easy or get overwhelmed. They may have a deep appreciation of the arts, but overstimulated easily by bright lights, strong smell, loud noises, even some fabrics or caffeine, lotions, perfumes. Emotionally, they might have a greater experience of the pleasant emotions, but also susceptible to anxiety, fear, and other unpleasant emotions. They have both the highs and the lows, and they may have a rich inner life, but have trouble expressing it to others until they learn words and tools. Socially, they can be very thoughtful in relationships, but might get easily upset or offended. They might be the first to respond to a need, but they might also get overwhelmed and withdraw more often. They might be excellent team players, but have unrealistic expectations of self and others. Some myths are, well, you're just describing introverts. Well, no, 30% of people with this trait are extroverts. Some of them are introverts or they withdraw. Some people say it's a disorder, and no, it's a genetic trait. Now, there is a sensory integration disorder that's characterized by persistent challenges, and the neurological processing of the stimuli, it interferes with their everyday life. But people with this sensitive processor trait can thrive in life. In fact, we see artists and inventors and counselors, very, very intuitive people. Another myth, they make people weak and over-emotional and even dependent. And on the contrary, as I said, these people are a benefit to society because they notice things other people might miss, and they bring that rich creativity. Some say, oh, well, they're just women. No, 50% of men. Now, women are stereotyped as being more sensitive, but men are just as sensitive, but they're more likely to display it differently or not display it at all. Another myth is they're all the same. No, the HSP scale consists of 27 different items across the social, physical, emotional, and mental capacity. So each profile has a different balance. And then again, how they adapted to manage makes them different. So the research shows the MRI, when they're filmed in a brain of people of all sorts doing different activities, people with this trait have an increased blood flow to the areas of the brain associated with processing sensory information, associated with the deep thinking places in the brain and empathetic responses. That's shown in the greater activity in the mirror neuron system, which is a fascinating system in a study. It shows that we have heightened awareness and emotional responsiveness to others. So this trait was found in very much heightened. So the other thing is there are various neurotransmitters. So they're finding that dopamine and serotonin are actually processed differently. And the variant in the norepinephrine supports all these findings. It's a genetic trait. There are some peculiar, specific differences. Everyone with HSP does have in common a hyper-responsive amygdala. So that's the part of the brain that governs both the fear and the pleasure. So this means for people with this trait, everything's amplified. Remember, your high definition TV is a lot different than your old black and white. So thank you for joining us on video 1. We just wanted to cover what it is. Video 2 will go much deeper into tips and tools. And video 3 is very important. Shows tips for parents and how to help children with this processor trait really thrive in life. You see, learning what might be triggers can help you get equipped. And it's never too early and it's never too late to learn how to thrive. Thank you. I'm Shell Cowper-Smith. Please reach out, and I look forward to having time to talk to anybody that wishes.